once we started selling the raw milk, that really kind of exploded. Who I was before the farm is not the same person that I am now, and I would never have tried that before. People come to our farm to experience relationships, and we give to our customers all day, every day.
I would lean on other people for things, and I really took that to heart. There's a part of me that just wants to scrap it so it's not around, and there's a part of me that, like, I tell my kids all the time, don't be afraid to fail.
So, Bethany and Timothy, we are at Bucket List Homestead again.
Yeah.
Because things happen when you're working with technology and just in life. And the first time we were here, all of the farms that were on our hard drive got deleted, wiped clean somehow. Through the grace of God, we were able to recover some, but we have to reshoot yours.
Yep.
So we are here again.
It's a great cover story for how terrible I interviewed last time.
I don't think that's the case. This is not a cover story. And we are also here on a beautifully rainy day.
Thankfully, it's light rain right now.
rain.
For North Carolina, this is a beautiful rainy day.
It is.
We'll take it. It's not a thunderstorm like tomorrow. We definitely wanted to make sure that we came back and shot again with you guys because your story is so interesting. And while it has its unique pieces, it's also like common.
Yeah.
You have a lot of the same struggles that other people do, but I love the way that you've been able to get over them. And something that came up on the phone when we were talking about rescheduling this and coming back is that you don't know what you don't know. And when you're farming, when you're out just living life and trying to run a business, sometimes like you just lose things. Things die, hard drives get deleted.
Sometimes you get pigs before you have fencing.
Been there.
Last year, was it last summer? We were out here, we had like this field fencing kind of like this that had come with the farm, and our pigs were inside of that, and they just kept getting out. Now, I know a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people and they're like, I hate pigs because they get out and everything. Pigs are annoying, they get out, and I'm honest, like half the time the pigs get out, I want to do a barbecue. Like, you know, that comes up.
Yeah.
But I really like pigs. I like their personality. I love keeping pigs. But last year we were out here. Bethany is the director for a homeschool co-op here locally. And the next day was our homeschool co-op day. I was working. I usually go to homeschool co-op. And so the pigs just kept getting out. And I was like, we have to just replace this with electric fence. We have to.
Yeah.
So at first the kids were out here helping us.
Yep.
And then the kids went inside because it got to be bedtime. And then as about like 10:30 rolled around, a thunderstorm started rolling in. It wasn't like pouring rain, but there was like dry lightning and the rain started picking up and stuff. And I was like, well, we're either going to get the fencing done tonight or we're going to get electrocuted. But either way, our problem's going to be solved. So we've been there like specifically with the pigs where it was just like, I know pigs can escape and everything, but we had pigs and, you know, you just kind of like, you don't know.
What you don't know.
What you don't know right up front.
Exactly, absolutely. Your history, you guys moved from Indiana, right? Yeah, because we're from Indiana, that's right. Yep. So you guys moved from Indiana out to North Carolina. A couple years ago, you settled on this place, and you're slowly making it a homestead with your own chickens and other animals, but really your main farm stay is your milk.
Yeah,
right?
It's kind of weird. Like you said, we're slowly making it our own homestead. And I was thinking while you said that I've seen this term around called farmstead. And we're like developing the farm side of things at the exact same time as we're trying to develop our permanent orchards and like the homestead side of it. Right. So like there's definite duality to it, which is hard to balance.
It is, for sure.
Yeah.
So we kind of started, when we moved here, we wanted to focus on the pastured chicken kind of as our primary thing. And
well, because it was June of that year, and that's a little late to start.
We were able to get into it that year, right?
So I was like, I want to get something off, about 14 acres. I want to get something off of it.
Because you buy a farm and you want to start farming.
Yeah.
Right. And we had planned for so many years that we had an idea of what we wanted.
We knew. Yes.
We kind of knew.
We knew what we wanted.
We knew what we wanted, and then we kind of, I don't know, curated it from there.
Yeah.
But once we started selling the raw milk, that really kind of exploded, and the chicken is still growing, but growing more slowly, and we have to work for it, whereas with the milk, it has exploded, and we can sell as much milk as we can produce at this point.
Yeah, because that was a really good point, I think, Timothy, that you brought up, that with chickens, you have to go find your customer.
Yes.
But with milk, They
They
are
come to
finding
us.
you.
We're chasing them away. We're looking for the guy mowing in the background. We barter with him for milk, you know. Yeah, like we have a lot of opportunity with the milk. And what I like with the milk is then that leads to building a good brand, building good customer relationships, just kind of coming at it from us both learning how to manage customers and production issues and all these kind of things, you know. So
Figuring out all the details of our herd shares and of our store that we didn't know in the beginning. We started selling milk in glass jars, and what I didn't realize was we would end up selling about 100 gallons a week and having to wash every single jar that comes in every day,
find room to air dry.
air drying them, dealing with customers that would return dirty jars or musty jars, and it was like everybody wants glass. People don't want plastic, and
Which
I understand.
which we're in the same boat.
I understand,
ideally.
but when you are scaling, you have to kind of find that
The safety
sweet
aspect.
spot of like
Although
what
when I've
works.
pushed plastic jugs off the counter, it's been far less impactful than when I've
That's
pushed
true.
glass jars off the counter
That's true.
accidentally.
Yes.
So
Except for that one time that we slammed the fridge. Well, that was on a glass jar.
It
We
was.
slammed the fridge closed, and it just like milk
Shattered.
spilled
we had a
everywhere.
friend here. It was like 10:30, almost 11 o'clock at night, and he was grabbing his milk. He was getting ready to leave, and we closed the fridge door, and just a gallon of milk, 2 gallons of milk, just seeped out through. Like
Yep.
it was horrible.
Oops. But yeah, but just finding those things where
Stuff happens. Can't
You
cry
know.
over spilt milk.
it's a sweet spot for us and a sweet spot for our customers.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have nobody knows this yet, but we have a bulk tank coming this week.
That's
So we can
exciting.
kind of cater a little bit more to the customers that really want the glass, and they can bring in their jars and get it out of there. But then it's working better for us where we're not having to manage the.
Yeah. Can we go out there? I know
Sure.
it's
Yeah, we
going to
can.
try to rain on us
Yeah.
a little bit
It's okay.
harder, but we'll do what we can.
Yeah, and I have a you don't know what you don't know thing I picked up today to show you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where
it's
is
something I've
that?
needed to
Oh.
clean up for ages, and I've just been leaving it sitting in our yard.
Okay.
Well, sitting out in our woods alongside the pasture.
Which
but
way am I going?
It's right over here. So this is my you don't know what you don't know thing right here.
This wire?
This wire, yes.
Okay.
So this is a giant mess, and I don't know who else has done this. Okay, so I have an IT background, right? So like,
Right.
it's funny talking about this from like from a farm and a business management thing of like you don't know what you don't know, and then from like a tech side of things because I'm in IT, and so I've seen the like catastrophic loss of like, sorry, it's gone. I don't know,
Yeah.
there's no warm and fuzzy way to say this. It's just gone.
Yeah.
So as we were here, I kind of started to figure out that I was really just a big fan of doing electric fence.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was just like, at the end of the day, you know, your biggest ones that are going to get out are your kids, like your young animals. Like we got some kids over there were born, and if I have them on electric fencing, they'll go out, but they'll pop back in to see
Right.
mom too, right? Like you
Right.
don't have to manage those things.
Or baby pigs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. And I've seen where farmers actually use that really effectively to do like a mixed herd, where you can keep them, and the moms, like the babies will stay on the outside of the fence, and then they'll come back in and nurse, and the moms will stay there. And then if the boars get aggressive, it gives the piglets a way to get out
Right.
and be safe. So anyways,
Right.
I figured this out, and I was like, great, I'm gonna get this. I did 1 or 2 fence projects with like 17 gauge wire, figured out that that's stupid. And so I was like, I'm gonna go to Tractor Supply and I'm gonna buy the big 4,000 foot roll of 12 gauge wire, right? This would be great because I calculated with doing 5 strands, how many I can do. And I was aware that math is often optimistic, but I was like, you know, I gave myself like a 15% buffer, and I was like, we're gonna be good.
Okay.
So I got this, I came out here and I cut the metal bands off of this.
Oh no.
Right, so nobody told me okay, so this is also just a style thing. I'm on the computer all day long. I don't want to spend a long time sifting through your kind of like banter on a video and your cute little intros and stuff. Not talking to you, but like, you know.
I totally understand.
Yeah, there's times when
let's talk about that too, because I get that. Because
Yes.
when you're farming, sometimes the last thing you want to do is watch other people
Right.
farm.
You
Yes.
just need
Especially-
instructions.
Yeah,
like,
especially
step by
when
step.
you have.
Can I have a
an
no
all-farm
B-roll version of this? Like,
Right, just show me
Right.
what you need to do.
Yes.
Yes. So I do a good bit of like reading on that, like on stuff or whatever. And so when I looked at like what I needed to do for electric fence, and I got my crimpers and all these things, no one explained in what I read, maybe I missed it, maybe I glazed over it, I don't know, that this wire has like a lot of tension in it. And that when you do this, it's going to like just explode, and it has to unwind in a certain way. So I got this, and I am probably about 20 hours into detangling this stupid roll. And I would get like long stretches of it, like laid across like the pasture back here and stuff. and I would get it all untangled and everything, and I'd cut a piece off, so I'm like, I can work with this, and I can crimp on the corner, you know, whatever. Like, instead of running all the way around a paddock, I can just, you know, go corner, like side to side, you know, whatever. And I just finally got like really annoyed, and I was like, I need to design this, like put this around like a wheel, like a tire rim or something, so that I can, like, it'll just unwind as I go. And I started looking at designs for this, and lo and behold, I found out that they have this thing called a spinning jenny. I had no idea what a spinning jenny was. I had no idea that I needed a spinning jenny. I didn't want to look like an idiot at Tractor Supply and ask them a ton of questions, so I just bought some wire.
Well, and they probably usually don't know anyway.
Yes. So yeah, it's hit or
man.
miss, whatever. So so I didn't know on this, right? So
Yeah.
this is my, I think it was about $170 learning curve. And even this morning when I went out to the woods where I had finally just thrown it out there and I was like, I'll get back to this, there's some other stuff I needed to do. I was looking at this and I was like, well, you know, there's some usable good stretches of wire in the middle there, but
You can't get to it.
It's just going to go to the dump.
I'm just going to scrap it. I'm just
Yeah,
going to scrap it
it's got
because
to.
there's a it's the sunk cost fallacy.
We call it tuition in our house.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
pay your
Right.
tuition. Yeah, we tend to say that you pay your tuition one way or another, either with actually learning it
Yes.
or with your
Yes.
pocketbook.
Yeah.
Yep. And the nice thing about it is that I did at least do some research ahead of time and whatnot, and I did end up getting some very sloppy semblance of a electric fence put up
And it
that I
worked
need
for
to
us.
redo. And
It
it's
worked
worked for us for
probably-
about 2 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so I think that like there's even some value, like we're doing an interview today, and like, yes, we've already done this interview, we've already talked whatnot, but there's aspects that, like, because we've already gone over this and you know some things about our business and we know how to like work with you, that like it's not a loss,
Right.
you know.
Right.
a
So
learning
this is my
experience.
biggest number one like tuition right here.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that just wants to scrap it so it's not around, and there's a part of me that, like, I tell my kids all the time, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
And this is just like, to me, it's a really good reminder of like,
You
you
should
know,
make an art project out of it.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's
like,
done.
Just
I could sell this.
Yeah, just like stand it up on like a wood structure
Right?
or something.
Yeah, it's such a good lesson. But now I know how to use the electric fence. I'm setting up a pen right here we're gonna set, like, my boar is gonna be in here, and we're gonna have
Oh,
several
okay.
different like 40 by 15 foot pens that he can kind of rotate through.
Sure.
And then if I have like goats kidding or a cow that's ready to calve, I can put them in some of these pens and they'll do all that stuff. So another thing I didn't know how to do is how you're supposed to brace your corners, you know, and there's different ways. It's
There
not
are
just
all
one way.
different ways, yeah.
Right? And so
Yeah.
I don't know, like, so this one is set up where I'm going to just run a board between them, you know, so it's like braced on the corner system, and I like the 3-board stability of this stuff, and it doesn't
Right.
have like an awkward post sitting down on the ground that's anchored to it. I feel like this is the least awkward way for me to do this.
Yeah.
And this supports really nicely with being able to leave like some drive like runs in
Right.
between here
Right.
Yeah.
and everything. So, but like this took me time to find and to learn and to
And you look at other farms, established farms, and you see their perfect looking fencing, and it's like, oh man, how did they learn how to do that? And what you don't realize is they learned through failure, through experience.
hey little lady,
This fence is very precarious.
our janky gate.
So on your 14 acres, you've got a few dairy cows, some pigs, a few
Yep.
goats. You've kind of changed around what you are doing, what you have done.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about, like, I guess, how you got here and what your goals were with the place and how those have changed a little bit.
So yeah, so we were in Winston-Salem. We'd lived there for I think about 5 years. We had rented for the first 2 and then bought the place. So we had been in there kind of in the middle of COVID. It became clear that it was a good time to move on, and we decided to start looking. We also had some family in town who was living near us at the time, who we wanted to. A couple of our criteria for moving out to the country was, because I'm in IT, we had to have good internet, and we wanted to be relatively close to family that was in town.
Yep.
So my brother has, his oldest is the same age as our youngest, and so we wanted the cousins to be relatively close to each other and whatnot.
And we wanted to be close to a church within like half an hour of church.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then church,
Yeah.
yep. And we didn't really want to completely shift like the communities or rhythm that the kids were a part of, you know. So my brother had just closed on a farm in Walkertown, North Carolina. So we found this one. It was 12 minutes from him. It was a really good, you know, distance and everything. So we're like, we really liked it. We connected well with the original owners.
It kind of checked all of our boxes. We had like certain things we were looking for. One thing that was surprisingly hard was finding a house big enough for 6 kids. and on land that you could afford.
Yep.
So,
And so, like, when we bought this house, it was actually a 3-bedroom house.
Yep.
So our one son slept in a landing at the top of like one of the 2 sets of stairs to go up there, which has become a room and everything. We've done like a little bit of slowly as we go remodeling in there, and so now it's
6.
so now it's 6 bedrooms, and we haven't changed the envelope of the house, so it's really nice.
Okay.
So it was also just looking for a place where we could do that. I'm very happy to remodel it. So anyways, we found this place, we really liked it. This is before I got really passionate about the goal of self-sufficiency being a very foolish goal. Yep. So I don't like the focus on self-sufficiency, because I believe that like society works well and God works well when you are a part of a community. Like it's God's design for us. I don't believe God called us to be in isolation on things.
Yeah.
So I think that and I remember that when we were first starting out, and I knew who Joel Salatin was before and everything, but I was looking at getting more into some of his stuff, that I came across this clip, and someone had asked him, what would you do different if you could go back? And he said, I would try to not do as many things myself. I would lean on other people for things. And I really took that to heart.
Yeah.
So I think that having something that you're good at and being good at that, and then learning and adding to that is good, but the goal of like self-sufficiency for its own sake is, I believe, doomed to fail.
I mean, it's definitely a cute, like, romantic thought,
Yes.
right? Like, heave ho, I can do it all. But I've been on the same journey since we sold our farm. You can't do it all. Like, that's kind of the whole point. Like, that's how society got here.
I was wondering about that. Like when Beth was talking about the struggles that you guys have had and everything, and I was like, I wonder how like they're going to shift on some of that stuff where like we're doing all our own shooting, we're doing all our own editing, we're storing all our own files and stuff. And so that kind of like, we're a startup, so we've got to do it all, but then how do we find that balance point of where we start shifting some of that stuff?
Right.
Yeah.
But once we like settle down and have land again ourselves, we are definitely not going to do like the full 100% self-sufficiency. So you mentioned how like you are having people over and you're bartering with them, like the mower in the background.
Yes.
You barter with him. Is that where that idea came from then?
So, so the idea of the business side of things.
Yeah, but like
not
trading,
being self-sufficient.
not being self-sufficient, and then also
I love
bartering.
to barter. I don't like to haggle, because I'll just be upfront with you about what I think is a good deal, and if it's not, I'm like, okay, we're not, we're not at the same page.
But it's not
I
about,
love to barter.
It's not about equal dollar amount, it's about equal value. And so, we it works really great for him to trade for a herd share and get his milk every week in exchange for mowing, which he was already bringing all of his equipment here every week already, just because we're kind of on his way home after his jobs in this side of town.
Yeah.
And so it just turned out to be a really, really good value add for both of us. And then afterwards, we kind of did the math and found out we were within just
$20.
a few dollars.
It was
crazy.
$20 of value, and I can't remember who has more or less.
And it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's just if it works good for you and you're getting a good value out of it, and we're getting a good value out of it, and we reevaluate it every few months or whatever and make sure it's still working for everybody, then that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So the business side, one of the reasons that we feel very confident about the business side of things, one of the things that I think, one of the reasons we have liked growing the business side of it is because we haven't had to chase it. And so not having had to chase it and finding ways that it worked really well, we're good. So that first year I'd mentioned that we wanted to do something on the farm, and we got some chickens and we did pasture chickens. And then people were like, oh, I love that you guys were able to do that. Would you guys ever sell any? And I was like, we've got a few extras. You can have some, that's fine.
Right.
And then they were like, these are really good. Can we get some more? And then they started telling their friends that we might do this. And so initially with the chicken, and we weren't thinking it was going to be like, even at that point, looking to get it like a full-time thing. But I was like, well, if I'm going to sell people some chicken, I want to see what the legal requirements are to that. No one butchers chicken, so then I found out you can get your processing exemption, and so we kind of did that. And we got a cow, and that's this cow kind of on the back of the hay here. I don't know if you can see her. She sticks. Yeah, she's got the horns.
She's got her. Oh, there she goes. She's like, you talking about me?
That's Kyla.
That's our first cow that we got.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we got her. So Beth was at an Azure drop in Greensboro, Azure Standard. It's like a organic bulk foods. Some of the ladies, they were like, oh no, my milk didn't come in. And Bethany was like, well, I'm out in rural Hall if you want to come that far. She was like, I have some extra like Jersey milk and it's A2. And we didn't really look for A2. She just happened to be A2. So they were really excited about that. And they were like, is she grass fed? And we were like, yep, she's grass fed. At that point, we had gotten her and she was grass fed. And so feeding one cow on grass, like the finances of it worked well. We're looking in the next month or two to swap our cows back over to that now. But
it's been winter time, so they're
Yes.
on their winter lot. We'll
Yes.
say on camera.
Yes.
They're about to come over to this beautiful lush
Yes.
pasture behind you.
Yeah.
We've had it
Yeah.
partitioned off so it could grow up because
Yeah.
it was, they
Yeah.
were grazing it down too quickly.
So then like the milk just exploded. We just kind of kept like more and more people were doing this. I mean, Bethany is if you want to give Bethany money, she will sell you something.
I'll sell anything.
She's that
I'm
guy.
not attached. I'm not attached to anything.
If you knew cars
Except
at all,
you.
you would be you'd be that guy that was just constantly buying and selling cars on
Yes.
Craigslist, like
Probably.
just flipping them. So we got another cow because what we realized is like we had Kyla and she's producing like 5 gallons of milk a day, which sounds like a lot when you're just a family, even a family of 8. But then when you start selling that, it's gone really
Yeah.
quick. And
Yeah.
so then I was like, babe, we're milking twice a day.
She's looking close.
Yeah, not yet.
Another week and a half or so.
Oh, her tendons are gone.
I think she's got about 2 weeks.
We'll take bets. Let's start taking bets here.
Yeah.
I think she's
Side
due the
comment.
13th.
So I don't know how to read the pins drop. I'm just looking at her bag.
Yeah.
And that udder is not,
Is she a cow?
yes.
So she's had a calf before?
This would be her 3rd or 4th.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
She's pretty springy.
Yep. All right. We'll have to decide what I owe Beth.
We'll have to see. We'll put it in the comments after the video's
here's
released
a-
when she calved.
Yeah.
Here's a challenge. Like, what do you want? If she gets this up, we'll have to come up with some sort of bet.
Put me on the spot. I don't make bets with you. You know that.
Don't make bets.
I
with
lose
you.
If
bets
she
I make
calves
bets with you.
before she gets the video out, like
it's
I
gonna
owe
be a
you
while.
something.
Don't say that. She'll calve before the video goes out because we're a little bit behind. We're like a month out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So don't say that.
I always win bets, okay?
He's rigging it.
Yes, that's what you have to do. Okay, so
anyway,
but I
so
was
you
like,
got your
so
cows.
we were. I was like, we're milking twice a day. We're doing all this stuff, and then we're like telling the kids, no, you can't have cereal this morning. No, you can't have a glass of milk because that's already sold. And I was like, this is stupid. This has to be
yeah.
us first, right?
No, I feel that. I feel that deeply. We never ate our fillets when we were selling meat.
You're what? Oh,
The
fillets. Yeah.
Yeah, the fillets from the beef because
Yes.
we were like, man, I couldn't. The money that we were making, we were like, I couldn't afford
Yes.
Right.
to make that. And then towards the end, we were like, wait a minute. This isn't making any logical sense. I'm raising these animals so that I can eat. And
Right.
I'm not even eating what I want to eat.
Which is a
Yeah.
complicated because I know you guys like talked a lot about like burnout being like a factor too, and I think that's like being willing to just say like, no, we're gonna enjoy our stuff. One of the things we've had to be really specific with that customers have gotten very frustrated with us over is hours. They're like, well, it's your home, and so your farm store should just pretty much always be accessible to me. No,
But it's my home.
but it's my home.
Right. And
right?
when we
and I
close,
already gave up my living room.
When we close, I'm not just relaxing in my house. I'm coming out here to do chores for an hour, and then I've got to do dinner, and I've got to do bedtime, and it's
I do some stuff, okay?
I know. We have to do all that. I do chores because he does the garden, and I
do
don't.
gardens and
I don't like
chickens.
gardening, and I'm not good at it. So he does the garden stuff, and
Yeah.
I do the chores.
You manage the cows mostly, and then we have like a couple of kids that are usually on rotation for managing chores, and then I'm managing gardens and the pastured chicken.
Yep.
Can we expand
Yes.
on that?
Yeah.
Let's walk out this way. So, boundaries, setting
Yes.
up boundaries on a farm, especially if we want to tie it to the you don't know but you don't know. When you
Right.
start farming, at least from my perspective, and I feel like you guys would agree with me,
Hmm.
that you just want to give everything,
Yes.
everybody everything, because this is
Yep.
beautiful and you want to share the beauty and the wonder and the lust with everyone.
Right.
Because
And
everyone should have it.
And I struggle with that in general, where I am a giver. I've always been a giver. And so if I have capacity to give, I don't feel right saying no. If I'm here and somebody wants to stop by at 8 o'clock for milk, then it feels ridiculous to me to say no. But I've had to learn that if you say yes, those people that ask for that, in general, there are exceptions. And we have some customers that we work with. We know their schedule and we're willing to be flexible. Communication is key. If you are a good communicator, I will go above and beyond to help you and like work with you. But people that don't communicate, people that expect more out of you than without understanding like the amount of work that goes into getting you that product. Those are the people that I'm like, no, this is my hard boundary. I'm not giving a little bit because I know you'll take a lot.
So how do you set those boundaries? Because like you said, inherently it's hard.
Yeah.
You don't have that. And I agree with you. I don't either. I don't have easy boundaries. I just give all that I have to everyone. How do you guys set them on the homestead, on the farmstead, so that it doesn't result in burnout,
Right.
or not getting your product, so that you can't tell your kids that they can't have cereal in the
Right.
morning.
Right.
Yes.
When you're like, wait a minute, that's the whole reason why we got here. How do you do that?
I
So-
mean, go ahead.
I'll say, so one thing is, and I think we talked about this last time, we don't sell anything that we don't use. So like, you know,
Everything
go
we
through-
sell is an extension of what we're already producing for ourselves.
So that makes
So-
it like a really, you know, like good process. Like I'm trying to think of something we would just never eat, right? Like I would never go try to source a ton of I'll sell some winter squashes and stuff, you know, but I wouldn't like put a large amount of effort into growing a
seaweed.
ton of like winter squashes. Spend all this time and energy packaging and marketing and selling and raising and stuff, all, you know, all these things. When
And I think that's part of the reason even some of the stuff in our farm store that I love having there doesn't move as much, is that it's not something I use a ton. I love having, like for example, colloidal silver. I love having that in our store because it fits our brand, but I've never used it. I've heard wonderful things about it, but I've not
just
used
don't
it
know what you don't know,
personally.
and colloidal silver is
I don't
expensive.
have any experience to talk about it, and so it sits there on the shelf, and sometimes it sells, but most of the time it doesn't, because it's not something I'm passionate about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're able to easily sell things that you can just, like my cheerleading coach from high school said, I'd shoot glitter out.
yeah, exactly.
Right? Like I
Yes.
could just shoot
Yep.
glitter out of my fingertips. I'm so excited about.
Which when they
Yes.
talk about like marketing and branding yourself and everything, that's what they say is that, you know, people they're not here to buy chicken, they're here to buy us
The
and our story,
experience.
right?
Absolutely.
So something that kind of makes our business unique is, like, everybody has a farm store. Everybody that has a farm sells that in some way. They have a store, they have a delivery service, they have,
Farmers
you know,
market booth.
online farmers
Right.
market, whatever. But something that makes our store unique is that people are here, people come to our farm to experience relationships. And we give a lot to
when
our
you're talking
customers
about-
all day, every day.
When you're talking about boundaries, there was a point where you wanted to move the farm store back out of the house
Yes.
because you said like just constantly having to be on with that, you know.
Was
and
that
like,
when it was still in the kitchen or no?
No, that was
Okay.
it was in the thing. It was shortly after we'd had it. We were just talking about kind of long-term
Mm-hmm.
plans because I'm always planning something. So, and you wanted to move it out of the house, and you said people can just come up, they can kind of self-serve, they can grab their stuff, you know, they can do that
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because we sell
Yep.
a lot. We really push people to be on a subscription model,
Mm-hmm.
anyways.
A herd share.
Yeah, the herd share, chicken subscriptions, like we really like that
Yeah.
kind of business model. And it's very predictable income and production and all these things.
Absolutely.
Right? And so like then like, you know, and we just count ourselves as one of those subscribers, right? Like we know like this is roughly how much chicken we do. So we have ourselves down as this many chicken subscriptions. We know how much milk. So we put ourselves down for this much milk. Right? And so when we would already be producing milk, it's far easier to scale the milk production if we're already doing milk for us than it is to
Right.
just add. Like if we went to add goat's milk in, right? Beth, we already have milk. Beth doesn't want to do it. And we have customers who would buy goat's milk from us, but now that's a whole different set of milking equipment. It's a
Right.
whole different set of cleanup. It's a whole
Right.
different.
If we got
right?
into the goat's milk, the kids
would
would
be a
have
good
to kind of take
example.
that on.
Yeah. We just.
And neither of us have
it's not a
capacity
fit.
for that right now. So, I mean, not to say we
So-
never will, but right now we don't.
So
Right.
Bethany really wanted to be able to get the store. She was like, you know, I don't like having to always be on
Right.
with the store.
I love dealing with most of our customers, but
And it's never that you don't want to deal with the
right,
customer.
it's not. It's that it's very disruptive to my day. So if I'm in the middle of helping a kid with math and somebody walks in and he's unavailable, which he works a full-time job, so
Right.
I try to do that when I can. But like it's very disruptive to be like, okay, I've got to go help the customer. Hold on, and then I go help the customer, and then they want to have a half-hour conversation, and then I
Right.
get back to that kid, and it's like in the middle of lunchtime, and it's wildly disruptive a lot of times, and it's hard to balance like our schedule and our structure and boundaries with
And-
customers. Sometimes I just have to say like, I don't have time to talk. I'm sorry.
You know, like where she's like, I need to have some time where I don't need to pop into the store, and I'm like, no, that is a relationship we have to have, so we just send the kids in there. And I'm real big on like instead of saying like, well, we can't do this because you have a problem, like what's the actual problem? All right, you need to not have your day disrupted by every single customer. All right, so it's great. We'll send Caitlin in there and she can do it. And the great upside to that is that our kids get tips.
I know.
Customers will tip the kids for like carrying the milk out to the car and stuff like that. You know, so it's a
good experience for them.
Right.
Yes.
Kind of learning.
So I think
their
if you
responsibilities.
if you lean into that, like, what's the actual problem? We need to have these things, and you're not like in a rush to fix it, like to find the solution today. Then you can usually find something pretty good. So we do things like that. Through the winter, we've gotten away from it because we're not in like production mode really. But during this like spring through fall, we have weekly meetings. Coming from like a business background, I understand both the value of not having a meeting for something that could have been an email, and then I also understand that because like we have farm rhythm and we have homeschool rhythm and just household management rhythm, it's really good to set 20, 30 minutes aside once a week to say, all right, here's my ideas I'm brainstorming, here's our finance things that are coming up, we need to pay for chicks, we need to do this thing. And so that would give some opportunities for all Bethany's pretending like she's not like a social person and everything. And for all me being really social, I can sell like relationship, I can build that like long-term thing. But if we need something sold, like if we're like, man, we're going to be short for feed this week, Beth will go get the money. Like, but that's really helpful because if I can go say like, hey, we need to go and get some feed this week, and we're gonna run like $300 short right now. So either we've got to fund that to the farm, or we've got to come up with that. Bethany's like, I don't want to fund that with our personal money, so we are gonna go, and she goes and sells like some chicken subscriptions or another herd share or whatever. And she's really good about that side of things.
Our social media has kind of exploded because of that. I have a pretty consistent presence on Instagram, and I really only post on Instagram, and most of my stuff just sets to automatically go to Facebook too. I'm trying to get better about monitoring Facebook because I don't check it every day.
I usually monitor the Facebook stuff.
You do. But most of our walk-in traffic that aren't like on a subscription come from Instagram.
Talked about that last time in how you both share the responsibilities really well. And you lean on each other, and it's not always 50-50. It's
right.
You help each other where the other needs it, and and you ask for help where the other needs it.
Right.
So I think that with, like you said, setting expectations, all of that helps with your boundaries. It seems like it's working really well in your business model to help make you successful and bring things in a positive light.
So to go back to the store, whereas normally I'd be like, I don't know, it's 11 o'clock, you want to pop into the store and grab something? Hey, you can bring me $50, that's fine. I would do that, but then Bethany's like, nope, I am done. Bethany is more extroverted than you used to be, but you're not. I'm just always like,
I am extroverted.
Come to my house, I don't care. We'll do something.
I'm like I'm like a scheduled extrovert. If I know that you're coming, or I know I have to be an extrovert for this period of time, that's fine. But when we're closed, because I used to be more willing to do that with customers when we were closed. And over time, I've gotten to be really strict because we've been taken advantage of on that. And, I'm tired of having to be home because somebody's coming outside of business hours, or, we have a pretty hard, we don't sell on Sundays because that's our family day.
Right.
Now, we do have sometimes we'll bring milk to church for a couple of people that we know want it.
There's a guy that's been buying milk from us all year.
Yep.
And he's moving back to Oregon. And so 2 weeks ago, my understanding was that he was going there. I think he actually has gone now.
I think he has.
But he texted and he's like, hey, can I pop in on Sunday and get some milk? And my understanding was that he was leaving during the middle of that week. And I was like, that's fine, because he usually sent us a Venmo. And I was like, I'll leave it on the porch,
I don't think I actually ever met him.
He was nice. He was quiet.
But yeah. Anyways.
But I would just do that about any time. But at the same time, because I need Bethany because I cannot handle all this stuff.
Right.
I just can't. I would get overwhelmed, and when I get overwhelmed, I get angry. Because I don't know how to just ask for things or vocalize things well.
And when I get overwhelmed, I get very introverted. So I'm like,
so because
these hours are so that I can give to you, as give my best.
I need her to have capacity, and then one of these big things is I will work with her. I will work with people on anything. I just need you to communicate it to me.
Yeah.
I'm a very accommodating person. I try to be.
Yeah.
Certain people might not agree, but that's okay. I also then have to say she is that priority, and so if she doesn't have capacity, well then she doesn't. What she's saying is I don't have capacity to deal with customers throughout the day. So then maybe I'll throw a kid hey, I'll give you, $5, to watch the store during the afternoons a day or something, right? And that's our kind of way around, like, we don't give the kids allowances, but like, hey, you do something that's actually a value add and you'll get some money, because I think that's really important to teach kids, because this is how the world works.
Right.
You know?
And I think part of the boundary
how it should
issue,
work.
this is a little bit different, but like on the boundary side of things, I've had to, since we've been here almost 3 years, it'll be 3 years in June, and I've had to learn to do things that if we hadn't moved to the farm, I probably wouldn't ever have tried, such as like I'm the primary person that goes and gets feed. We don't have it delivered right now. We don't have grain bins set up. We go and get it on a trailer. We scoop that grain out with buckets into our containers, and that's just, we're doing it the hard way.
Imperfect, but it gets the job done.
And we are working toward a better solution. So right now, I go and get grain. In the very beginning, he used to, and then it just, the feed mills are open during during work hours, and he had to work. And so I learned how to drive a trailer, and I learned how to back up a trailer in situations where it wasn't important to back up, so that when I needed to, I could. And now I'm really good at backing up a trailer.
And you also know that you got to, like, you'll correct the guys at the delivery, at the feed mill.
And I'll tell them, you can't put the grain there, because then my trailer will go all over the place. Ask me how I know. I learned it from experience. And then the other thing is, like, he was helping a friend with something on Saturday, and this fencing really had to be done for the goats that are over there in that pasture. And it was just field fencing, like, no big deal, right? But I have never done fencing by myself, and so I grabbed a kid and I was like, we're gonna figure out how to do this. Very imperfect fencing, but I feel very proud of myself because we figured it out, and the goats have not gotten out, and maybe they will, maybe they won't, but like,
they're goats, they will.
Who I was before the farm is not the same person that I am now, and I would never have tried that before.
You were saying that, and I was just thinking back to, like, who you were when we lived in Covert, Michigan.
Ooh.
Like, if not just who you were, but like who we were.
Like
and we had bourbon red turkeys back then, so we were doing like a little bit of like just kind of homesteading stuff. You know, we had a garden
just for fun,
just for us.
Before kids, then.
With one kid, but yeah.
One.
I was just thinking, like, what would you have done if I like came from the house and slapped half a hog on the counter? Well, first of all, it wouldn't have fit on the counter of that house, but
I don't think you would have at that point.
Right.
And
we're
I
just talking about like
definitely
things
would
that
have
have
freaked out.
changed.
Yeah.
You know.
This year it was like, oh, no big deal. We've got 4 halves of pigs sitting on our kitchen counter to process.
That's awesome.
So it's changed, yeah.
I know that we are really comfortable, and so we could talk and talk and talk. But I want to talk about your pastures, because I love the way that you're managing your pastures in a farm that's set up a little. I don't want to say wonky, but it's not like your perfect square or circle or whatever it is. So tell me a little bit about how you manage your pastures and what your goal is. Obviously they're on the winter lot, and that's okay. But what are you going to do with your animals this summer?
Yep. So, okay. So right now the cows, like you said, they're on a half-acre lot over here, and they eat hay. And I'm also strategically placing the hay when I put it out there, because I do run my pastured poultry over there. So like in the back here, there's kind of like a little sandbar back here. And I've noticed that wherever you keep your hay, you get a lot of manure, you get a lot of like just organic material. So there's a dip there, and there's a couple other spots where I would notice when I had my chicken tractors that there was a significant like ruts and stuff in the ground. And I don't have the box scrape. I don't want to till my pasture up and everything. So like a really good way for me to manage that is to like put the hay there, let the cows do this, and they'll drag it out and level it and everything. And this does this. So I'm getting the cow manure on there. My chickens will run on there later on. So my next thing this year that I'm doing here is there's about 8 acres back here that I am working to fence in. And then we're going through, and I don't want to initially, just because of my lack of confidence with heavy machinery and hills, go out there and stump everything. But I am going to we're going to go through this and thin these trees out selectively, like go with types of trees that are really good shade, they're strong, or they have some sort of food value. Like we have a lot of hickory trees here in North Carolina. So if you're doing silva pigs, hickory trees are great because especially if you put them on there periodically, that has a very good flavor value to your meat. So learning some stuff like that and thinning it out, and then thinning it out to where we have groves of trees. I am trying to learn in that, what's growing well in our area, what's growing well in my land, and I will start trying to move that back into these woods as I clear them. So we're going to run goats and pigs through the woods this year in small, intensive rotations. A couple of people that have been recommended to me to talk to about pasture management for what works really well in our area. But I feel more confident going in and talking to them now that I know just even what I'm looking at on my farm.
Right.
Because then I'm always, you know, kind of suspicious of like, I don't know, I don't want to go spend thousands of dollars on this and I didn't really need to, or it's not something that's going to work well. They just wanted to sell something. So knowing some of the grasses that I can see, oh, these have been growing year in, year out on my farm. I can see what's growing well here and stuff. And then also just talking to people. Like I was talking to a farmer down the road here the other day, and she was telling me about one of these people she'd worked with. And I was like, so when you work with someone to like say, this is what my pasture needs, and we got to lime it or fertilize it and then put these seeds down and they do all this stuff, I'm like, how much are we talking?
Yeah.
I mean, ballpark. Because I mean, again, this isn't I'm not a 6th generation cattle farmer, you know, so I don't know what to expect on these things. And I know prices have gone up. So even, you know, for you, right? Like things have changed. And it was not bad. I think she's like all told between grass seed, lime, and consultation, it ended up being like around 125 an acre that she had done.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's not bad.
So I was like, oh, that's I can do that, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that to kind of have that well cultivated for that, I think is well worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's loosely my plan.
I just really thank you guys for letting me come back out here. I
course.
loved our conversation before, and if it was a perfect world and we could have at least pulled parts of it,
Right.
that would have been
Right.
great. But here we
It's okay.
are, and your flexibility has been amazing. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for
course.
letting
Thank
me come
you.
back out and talk with me. I'm so excited to see where you guys are going. I love your insight for yourselves as a couple, as partners, but also like just going through life and figuring things out. I think it's really amazing, and I love what you guys have found here.
It's fun.
So
It
yeah,
is.
it is fun, and I can see that. I can feel it from you guys. So thank you very much. Any links that you guys want to include, we'll put in the description
Okay.
for people to be able to click on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just
Yeah,
thank you.
awesome.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Whew. You know, technology happens sometimes, but that's what's so great about the tour or the journey that we're on right now, and meeting all of these amazing people is genuinely they just want to talk about farming and about their farm and what they've learned and share that information with people. Their flexibility has been amazing. So I feel very thankful to have been able to come back here and talk with them just about their farm and what they're doing, because I do love what they're doing, and their milk is delicious. We bought their milk last time. Thank you for coming along with me again. And just remember, we've got the Facebook group, we've got the live streams, we've got our membership page, we've got t-shirts and hats, all kinds of great things for you guys to check out and look. We also are creating a blog spot where I'm just gonna start sharing the stories in written format. So maybe you love watching these videos, but maybe you also love reading. And I just wanna keep sharing the farming story however and wherever I can. We'll see you next time.